Ecuador, vote counting continues in a largely peaceful election day as citizens await for the first official results to be announced. In Palestine, Israeli occupation forces continue bombing the Gaza Strip. After 9 days, the death toll rose to 2,450. The Red Crescent Society issued an urgent appeal to the international community to protect the people of Gaza. And in Russia, President Vladimir Putin affirmed that the armed forces of Ukraine failed in their new attempts to carry out offensive actions against Russian territories. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. In Ecuador, polling stations closed and the beginning of the counting process is underway in the second round of the presidential election. More than 13.4 million Ecuadorians were summoned to the polls to choose between Luisa González and Daniel Noboa as the next president. Thus, the electoral process marked by the security and violence crisis that plagues the country ends. For her part, the president of the National Electoral Council, Diana Atamain, reported about a turnout of more than 82%. Let's go over at the numbers as vote counting continues. On the official National Electoral Council website, we can see that with 81.84% of the votes counted, currently the candidate for the National Democratic Action, Daniel Noboa, leads the race with 52.16%. For a part, the candidate of the Citizen Revolution Movement is currently second with 47.84%. Ecuadorians went to the polls to elect their next president. Let's go over what the Central American nation decides this Sunday.
During an election day marked by an escalation of violence, citizens elect the president, vice president, 15 National Assembly members, and 6 assembly members for constituencies abroad. The National Electoral Council reported that more than 13 million Ecuadorians are summoned to exercise their right to vote. Voting centers will be open from 7 a.m. local time until 5 p.m., while abroad voting will take place from 9 a.m. local time to 7 p.m. in accordance with the time zone of each country. Ecuadorians will choose between leftist Luisa González, who became the first woman to win a significant percentage during the first round of a presidential election, and right-wing supporter Daniel Noboa, who seeks to create reforms that boost tax rise and tax exemptions. For her part, González seeks to fight crime, corruption, and improve the judiciary. The winner of this runoff will have to govern until 2025, after current President Guillermo Lasso implemented the so-called cross-death, bringing his term to an early end.
In Guatemala, indigenous organizations have blocked roads as part of a national strike for the sake of democracy and against attempts by judicial authorities to interfere in the electoral process. At least 17 highways in the west part of the country were blocked this Sunday, whereas in the capital city, protests have been held outside the public ministry headquarters since October 2nd, demanding the resignation of Attorney General Consuelo Porras and other officials. In the next few hours, social organization leaders are expected to make a statement announcing the continuity of the street actions across the country. In Honduras, at least 4 migrants died and 20 others were injured after a bus collapsed northwest of Tegucigalpa. The accident occurred at approximately 4 a.m. local time when the bus took a dangerous curve and fell into the Iguito River on a highway in the western part of the country. It was officially announced that the collective vehicle was heading towards the border of Agua Caliente with migrants on board. The fire department of the region informed that all the injured were taken to health centers to receive the necessary medical attention. Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. Other stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back from the south. In Palestine, the Red Crescent Society launched on Sunday an urgent appeal to the international community to protect the population of the Gaza Strip after 9 days of Israeli bombardment, which caused 2,450 deaths. The Palestinian Red Crescent Society stated that the population of that territory is alone, while human rights are being violated. It also denounced the forced transfer orders issued by the Israeli army to 1.1 million people, including doctors and patients, and warned that the Al-Quds hospital, located in Gaza City, is at risk of being bombed by Israeli planes. The death toll from Israel's relentless bombardment of Gaza surpassed the total toll of the 2014 war that lasted almost 2 months and was so far the bloodiest ever experienced in the enclave. The indiscriminate Israeli attacks have also left 9,200 wounded, according to the latest data from the Palestinian Ministry of Health, which described as ethnic cleansing the Israeli campaign unleashed after the beginning of the Al-Aqsa flood operation led by Palestinian resistance movements. Israel has registered the death of 1,400 people. In this context, Palestinians in Gaza have started digging mass graves to bury hundreds of daily victims of the Israeli barbarism. Most of them have been killed by the brutal bombardments of the Israeli armed forces. There are reports of whole families exterminated and buried under rubble. There are also reports of a large number of children who have been orphaned and are alone in the UN schools. The situation is extremely critical. Gaza is still without water, electricity, and food supply. The Palestinian Ministry of Interior announced occupation commits massacre against members of the civil defense. Several civil defense members are martyred as a result of direct attacks while on their way to rescue citizens trapped on the rubble of one of the houses attacked in Gaza City. The Gaza Strip is under the heaviest bombardment since the beginning of the Israeli aggressions against it. The Jerusalem Post reports that the Rafah crossing between the Gaza Strip and Egypt will open from 9 a.m. on Monday, October 16th, for the exit of foreigners and the entry of humanitarian aid. Palestine is witnessing the 9th day of the Israeli siege began on October 7th. According to official reports, over 2,400 people have been killed and more than 9,000 people have been wounded in the Gaza Strip and the West Bank.
The United Nations Children's Fund has reported 720 children killed during the attacks by Israeli troops. Meanwhile, humanitarian organizations have warned that as a result of Tel Aviv's genocidal aggression, many Palestinian families have been forcibly displaced.
These are my relatives. They were living in Beit Hanina when they were ordered to leave. They left for a safe place. They went to Sheikh Redwan, assuming it was safe. They were also asked to leave Sheikh Redwan. So they came here to the coast of Gaza and they bombed us all. My family was here in Al-Shetay, sleeping in our houses, safe, without having done anything. We are not the ones shooting, and we are not the resistance. We were in our houses, both adults and children. Look how the children are wounded. What have the children done? Are those their targets? They become men against the children?
The UN Office for Migration Affairs said in its latest report that over 400,000 Palestinians have fled their homes following heavy shelling in the Gaza Strip, while health workers warn of the collapse of the emergency medical system.
The health system is now collapsing, and the Israeli occupation is responsible for the lives of thousands of people arriving at the hospitals in Gaza. Moreover, hospitals in the Gaza Strip have been filled with thousands of displaced people from Gaza because the displacement sites that the government set up with UNRWA, which are schools, have also been filled with many wounded.
The Lebanese Islamic Resistance Movement, Hezbollah, raised the red flag over an Israeli military post on the line of separation with the occupied territories as a sign of revenge. Hezbollah confirmed Sunday the launching of guided missiles and mortar shells at 5 Israeli military points in the region, killing, at least, 1 Israeli soldier and wounding 3 others. Meanwhile, the international community continues to show its support for the Palestinian people. The Iranian foreign minister said that the deluge operation launched by the Palestinian resistance Al-Aqsa showed that Palestine is alive. The Russian government has submitted to the UN Security Council a draft resolution for a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip, and the Chinese Foreign Ministry has condemned Israel's actions against Gaza, saying that they have gone beyond the scope of self-defense.
In this context, in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates, humanitarian aid for Palestinians is donated and packed. The aid will be sent through the United Nations Relief and Works Agency and includes food, hygiene products, and medical supplies. More than 1 million people have been displaced in Gaza in the last week, according to the UN, as Israeli forces continue a sustained bombardment of the enclave since last week's escalation of tensions. Expressions of support and solidarity with the Palestinian people continue throughout the world. Several countries mobilized to reject Israeli genocide in the Gaza Strip.
Hundreds of people from the Palestinian community in Chile rallied in front of the presidential palace in Santiago to express their support for the Palestinian people and called for an end to the Israeli siege against Gaza and West Bank territories. From the Vatican, Pope Francisco expressed his concern for the civilians in Palestine and Israel and urged the parties to respect humanitarian rights in the face of shortage of food, water, and security for Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. Across the continent of Oceania, Australian demonstrators held a prayer to kick off the protests. As people gathered in silence around the Palestinian flag, activists read a manifesto to enshrine Palestine as a free homeland.
I am here in solidarity with the innocent people of Gaza. I am here to make sure that we are not just two sides. Our governments here should have to see both sides. There are innocent people in Gaza and there are innocent people on the other side.
And finally, from the European continent, some 10,000 activists in the Netherlands gathered in Amsterdam's Dam Square to march for a Palestine free from siege and illegal occupation of Israel.
We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English, here you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back from the South. President Vladimir Putin affirmed that the armed forces of Ukraine failed in their new attempts to carry out offensive actions against Russian territories. During an interview, the Russian president denied that the Ukrainian narrative of an alleged blockade of its counteroffensive has also completely failed. The Russian head of state noted that Kiev maintains its plans to continue attacks on the civilian population in the Donbas region and acknowledged at the same time that the Ukrainian army has been preparing new offensives in other directions. In response, Vladimir Putin stressed that Russian troops are improving their position in almost the entire Slavic space. Also added that they will react immediately to invading attacks. In an interview with China's Central Television, Russian President Vladimir Putin praised the long-term strategic approach to decision-making embraced by Chinese President Xi Jinping, calling the Chinese leader a practical and reliable partner. Putin also highlighted aspects of Xi's leadership that set him apart from his peers.
President Xi Jinping is one of the world's recognized leaders. Instead of making decisions based on a short period or a single incident, he makes long-term plans for the future based on analysis and assessment on the situation. This is very important, and it is what differentiates the true world leaders from what we call TEMs. TEMs only show off on the world stage for about 5 minutes before becoming lost to world history. However, President Xi is another kind of person. He is a persistent, calm, practical and reliable partner. Once we reach consensus, we can make sure both sides abide by our agreements.
Очень хорошая у нас была поездка.
One of our meetings was really pleasant. At the time, President Xi was visiting Russia and we went to St. Petersburg together. We boarded the Aurora cruiser and sailed on the Neva River in an absolutely peaceful and kind atmosphere. We had a long and detailed conversation about bilateral relations and the world situation. Not so long ago, in March, President Xi paid another visit to Russia. It was once again a very pragmatic visit, which is of great significance to the future development of Russia-China ties. Therefore, I hope when we meet again in China, the tradition will continue.
Russian President Vladimir Putin said the Belt and Road Initiative shows China's desire to boost win-win cooperation, which is fully consistent with Russia's vision of developing the Eurasian Economic Union. In an exclusive interview with China Media Group recently, Putin praised the vision and results of the Belt and Road Initiative over the past decade since it was rolled out. Over the past 10 years, the Belt and Road Initiative turned from an idea into a reality and has yielded fruitful results. Putin pointed out that one important feature of China's proposed initiatives is that there is no imposition on others, no coercion, but there are opportunities. The Belt and Road Initiative proposed by China in 2013 has brought tangible benefits to participating countries and has contributed to significantly global economic recovery by fostering infrastructure interconnectivity.
10 years ago, President Xi Jinping introduced the Belt and Road Initiative. I believe this initiative is timely and has made positive progress as it aims to unite the efforts of all countries in achieving the goal of common development. This initiative represents an excellent and correct top-level design that is continually evolving and being implemented. Yes, someone may view it as an attempt by China to conquer others, but our observations suggest otherwise. What we witness is a desire for cooperation, so we welcome President Xi Jinping's initiative and are willing to collaborate with China to promote the implementation of the initiative. We have a vision of developing the Eurasian Economic Union, such as building a greater Eurasia, which aligns perfectly with China's Belt and Road Initiative.
We have come to the end of this news briefing. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, TikTok. For Telesur English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.